Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Antonino. I'm from Intersect 360 Research, and today we are discussing the topic of European tech SMEs and their road to expansion. If we look at European tech SMEs, we see that they face fundamental challenges on how to scale internationally while navigating different regulatory frameworks and accessing the right resources while competing with larger, well-funded players. So we invited today an interesting panel of experts, which will help us get more clarity of the situation. And I will start with introductions. Right here is Antonino, Albarran, and yeah, in one sentence, please tell us what you do and keep it short.
Okay, so it's difficult. So I'm part of Openchip. Probably you don't know Openchip, but let me use the name to explain what we do. So chip is because we are a fabless silicon company. So the plan is we don't have manufacturing, but we are going to design and manufacture chips for acceleration for AI and HPC. So this is why we are called chip. The open part is because we are using RISC-V, which is an open microprocessor architecture, open source microprocessor architecture. This is the open chip, so we plan to do chips in Europe. And for AI and HPC acceleration, chips and software, because software is an important part. And so this is basically what we are doing and I want to go faster. We'll explain later.
Great, okay. Then on to your neighbor. Eric, tell us what you do and what your company does day to day.
Thank you very much. Very nice to be here. Thank you to E4 for having us. Tenstorrent is a company that builds high-performance AI processing hardware based on open standards, and we use open source software throughout our product suite. We also build high-performance RISC-V CPU technology, which we license to our end customers. Thank you.
Great. Giuseppe, your turn.
Hello, everybody. Axelera AI is doing a high-performance edge accelerator, so we focus on inference. And we have, after 3 years, a product in mass production right now. We do, on the top, acceleration, PCB boards, modules, and software stack on the top.
Great. Matteo?
Yeah, so I'm Matteo Tinelli, country manager for Italy of SiPearl. SiPearl is a company designing sovereign CPUs, ARM-based, high-performance and low-power CPUs. We've just taped out our product, and we also just opened the Italian site.
Great. Now closing. So far it's going good with the timing. Paul, your turn.
Okay. It's Paul Wallace here from Oriole Networks. We're building a completely new type of photonic network, so end-to-end, pure light with no switches in between. The general idea being that everyone's trying to do photonics, and we're taking it to the next level by reducing the latency, no congestion, and actually building it so you get maximum performance out of it with, as we call it, zero-hop networks.
Great, thank you. Okay, then let's jump into our first topic.
That is fast.
Okay, let's jump into our first topic. So the first topic is already also covering the first frictions. So when an SME steps beyond the home market, the practical hurdles show up first. So in your view, what are the main barriers that European SMEs face today when trying to scale up internationally in your sector or our sector? And yeah, I would like to hear Matteo's opinion first, please. Any thoughts?
Yeah. So in general, for SMEs, and you're of course focusing in particular on the hardware SMEs, I think we face mostly 3 barriers. One is the financial barriers. The second one is the access to talent, and the third one is the market barrier. So if I dig quickly into that, first of all, in hardware design, cost is very high. I mean, you all know that, but you have to pay licenses that are expensive, IP, you need to tape out at the best technology, so all of that has a very high cost, not talking about also the human resources. And on the other hand, rising capital in Europe is challenging, to say the least. And I mean, I think my colleague can say more about that. If I say about talent, we all struggle to find the best engineers. We struggle among each other, and we have the luck that there is a very good formation in Europe. So we do have very good engineers, but we might not have the same salaries that are offered overseas. And I think we have to be conscious that we are very lucky to have people who want to stay in Europe, that they want to make good technology in Europe, and they stay. But we really definitely to do more in forming them and in trying to attract more talents from abroad. And very quickly on the last one, the market. Europe, the market size, the European market might not be sufficient in itself. And Europe has been a little bit shy in protecting its own company and trying to favor sovereignty. So we can maybe do more also on this aspect.
Great points. Thank you for that. Eric, I also want to hear your opinion. Maybe you can also say something. I mean, you're in business development. Does something else come to your mind that you would like to add, or did you already cover everything important?
No, I thought the answers were appropriate and correct. Maybe a couple of other things just to extend some of those thoughts would include the fragmented regulatory environment. When you're selling into the European market, you're not selling into a single state with a single perspective on how AI technology should be rolled out or even how the technology should be designed. You're selling into 27 different markets, and each of those markets has their own regulations. Sometimes within those 27 different states, you have sub-fragmentations as well with different perspectives. So it presents a very complicated environment for a business to tackle those different domains. Beyond that, no, I agree completely. I think the talent environment becomes a bit challenging. Access to capital, for sure.
Okay, Antonino just raised his hand, so.
if I can. Yeah, I completely agree. So those three, I want to comment a bit more on talent. So this is crucial. So there are a lot of very good European engineers that are working in the US. So we have had the Openchip, we are like 300 engineers all in Europe. And we have repatriated many of them from companies like Intel, like Google, like Oracle, like Microsoft, like AMD. And they have decided to leave those companies in the US and come here. Because at the end, there's a attraction to live in countries like Spain, Italy. People like to live here. So they come in, they have the right offers and the right positions. It's a matter of money, but also I think it's a matter of the right position. There was very little development in Europe until now. So companies like us that are doing it in developing and researching in Europe is very important. I would add the fourth factor to add something, which is time. So we have, I wish we had the product now, but it takes time to design a new product. So
I think
years.
Paul wants to add something.
Yeah.
I saw him right there.
I was going to say exactly that, because everything you say is true of all companies trying to, like us, trying to break into a mature market. But this market is different because things are moving so quickly. There's significant amounts of investment across all the major players. The challenge is, how do we keep up? How do we get ahead? How do we bring a novel idea and actually get ahead of it? So time, I think, is one of the things which colors all of those aspects you've been talking about.
Yeah, it's something we're going to change because it takes time to design a chip. It's between 3 to 5 years from the beginning till you have it in your hands, like with real silicon. So there's no way of shortening that period. We wish we could, but actually, and then the market in 5 years maybe is completely different to what we have now. So we try to figure out what the market is going to be like in 5 years and try to design now for that.
Great, thank you. Giuseppe, you were the only one that hasn't said anything yet. Is there anything that you want to add?
Absolutely. Choosing the right architecture choice when you design a chip 4 years, 3 years, 4 years in advance is a big issue, especially in a field like AI, in which everything is changing. We start, for example, from this generation on computer vision, and we experience generative AI in between, and we had to support it. And some are supporting natively, some it's very challenging to do that. And another thing to say is that one thing is to do innovation, one thing is to do a product that you can sell on the market in volume. It's a completely different paradigm. So you need to have people, venture capital behind you that back up for 3 to 4 years at minimum to see something back. So it's a very challenging we need patience from venture capitals, basically.
I
Not
agree,
only money, but
agree,
also
and
patience.
Let me stop you there, because your last point is a great point to going over to our next topic, access to capital and infrastructure, actually. And my question here would be, I mean, we know SMEs often struggle to access advanced technological resources and or infrastructure, as you just said. And maybe something comes to your mind when we look at models or policies that could foster a more inclusive and competitive ecosystem.
For me,
one sentence you, and then we will move on.
so for sure, a combination between venture capital and public investment, private and public investment, is a need, especially in Europe, where venture capital is not that mature, rising where we are now, above 50, 100 million in Europe. No way to do that so easily. Mm-hmm. The equivalent in US will be kind of given. I think in the last 5 years, Europe has become much more, put much more attention in a semiconductor as a strategic field. There are many more projects. I miss a little bit of coordination there. So too many projects, too many calls. But I see definitely improvement. I would like to see more improvement on the political part, the administrative part. Today, this private-public combination works. So partially comes from EU, partially the money comes from national funding, but the administration, the accountability. So you need to do administration for EU, you need to do administration from Italy, you need to do administration for the other countries you apply for. Mm-hmm. This is overwhelming.
Yeah, it's not easy, I agree. And Paul, I want to get you in here as well. When we look at it from, for example, a product development or draw on your product development experience, what mechanism could help SMEs move from development to deployment, actually?
So I think that comes down to the investment strategy. We've seen a lot of headlines being taken by governments investing in national sovereign AI, that sort of thing. But I had it put to me actually by one executive. He said it's actually, a lot of it is targeting investment for today, targeting software companies and so on. When you're looking at infrastructure projects, actually it's hard. I personally need a different infrastructure with my equipment to run that. Mm-hmm. So actually what we're doing is we're trying to be part of that, get ahead of it. And I think one thing you need to do is to work with the funders, be they private sector or public sector, and say, listen, with a different type of investment, we can actually get ahead of the market, and that'll bring things back. I think VCs are worried about short-termism, short-term return and so on, but in fact, this market is, back to the time thing, it's moving so quickly, this will be a rapid return. So I think it's actually making sure that ignore the headlines, the investing in very large data centers, actually it's investing in the future for the next data center is what we need to do.
Great point. Matteo and I were talking outside before, actually, and he brought up a really interesting point. So I want to loop in here as well, so the audience also can benefit from what you told me. And yeah, the stage is yours.
Yeah, so I will focus on the infrastructure here more than the capital. That was already, I agree with what my colleague said. The EU is moving in the right direction, we can say, and it's also financing very important infrastructural projects. Let's say the Euro HPC supercomputers as a start, the AI factories, not the gigafactories, but we can also think about the ChipsGU with the European design platform. So all of that are initiatives that are things are praiseworthy, and they're very good, but we have few resources in Europe. Let's be honest, we play in another league, and we probably play a different game than our geopolitical competitors. So I think we have to be extremely pragmatical, and we have to be careful of good ideas that work on paper and then do not function really in reality. Mm-hmm. Just to make an example, and this has been corrected, but I have met a company that it is doing training in AI, and I immediately asked if they're profiting of the AI factory infrastructure, and it turns out that because of bureaucracy and cost, they prefer AWS. Okay, so now things have changed in order to avoid this kind of accident. But I think it's very important that from the beginning we listen to the voices of the SMEs, fabless SMEs particularly, and we look at what are their real needs and how to make it work. Just we'll make last examples. We at SiPearl, we have invested 20 million in building our own data center for emulation and simulation. So it's quite a big investment, and it's necessary for us. Now Europe is funding this kind of infrastructure to enable fabless chip design company to use it, and think it's a good idea. But I hope the voices listen, and we at SiPearl, we will be eager to share our experience and make it as possible to help the European ecosystem thrive.
Great, thank you. And since we heard the word Europe so often right now, if you two are fine, we would move on to the next topic, which is European digital sovereignty. And I mean, it's a big phrase, so I would say let's make it practical. And the question is, where can SMEs actually contribute without being crowded out by the big players and the hyperscalers? And how do they actually keep that position indefensible? Let's start with you.
Okay, can I start? Okay, let me first define what we mean by digital sovereignty, because we use the word sovereignty about everything that is in Europe. We talk about data, locality. In this particular case, we are talking about the designing technology in Europe. This is what our product, which is European. So this is what I think all our companies are doing. And this is very important. It's all the same topic. By the way, this is very boring because we all agree all the time. Maybe we should look for some topic that we don't agree. But in this case, it's very important to have this design in Europe. So we are all fabless. It's not possible to manufacture in Europe with the latest node technology, with the latest foundries. But at least we are trying to design and manufacture. It was also said before that it's different designing than manufacturing. Designing is easy. You can do it on paper. Then manufacturing, it takes more time, more testing, more money. So it's way more difficult. I think we're in the right place to give a positive message. The European Union is promoting it. It's a good thing. The AI factories, I see some very good signs. For example, in the last AI factory tender that the Barcelona Supercomputing Center published, they were already asking for European technologies, for European sovereign digital technologies as part of the tender. So the main tender is going to be most probably for American company, but at least they are asking for a small portion of the tender to be just for European sovereign technology, which I think is a very step forward. I would like that all the AI factories that are releasing tenders would do the same.
Great. I agree with you. Eric, do you have any thoughts? Do you maybe disagree, or do you have something good to add?
So my experience is that within the European market, the smart, forward-thinking leaders are acknowledging the need for sovereignty and for local infrastructure that supports the needs of the host nation. But not everybody has that foresight, right? And I heard a comment from one of the presentations this morning talking about the need for a standardized ecosystem. And the trouble, when I was listening to that comment, the thought that came to my mind was the obvious problem that presents is when you have a standard and you exclude smaller players, for instance, you run the risk of vendor lock-in. And when you are in a situation where you can only buy from one vendor because your entire ecosystem only knows one vendor, that becomes a significant challenge if there is a problem with market dynamics, for instance, right? And so I think it is important for every visionary thinker, of every national leader to be looking at the future and thinking, how can I ensure that I have control over my supply of high-performance technology? And the best way to do that is through investing locally and ensuring that the community that you have strong alliances with are able to support you and deliver that to you. And so I think that is happening, but it's going slowly, but I think it is moving.
Great, thank you. I agree with you. Yeah?
I see from a different angle, and I want to bring my contribution. SME offer an open platform and dynamic platform where creativity can be, and fundamental research can be applied to really a product. It's challenging. I hope that from talent point of view is an attractive more than a repulsive challenge to offer to the people in Europe. So SME is well, the place where you are constantly in uncomfortable zone to learn much faster. And you can learn only if you make errors. I mean, there are SMEs where we make, all of us made a lot of errors, but from there we can challenge each other, we can learn more. So.
Great, thank you, Matteo. And Paul, I have like one 30-second quick round to stay in time. Maybe there's one concrete step from each of your experiences that you would give an SME that could actually help.
To rebound on what Giuseppe just said, I think that first of all we have to recognize that in Europe, and we are here an example at the table, we are already contributing to sovereignty. It's not just projects, these are real products. And against all the odds, I would say we are there, we are alive and kicking, and this is not granted, first of all. Second thing is, let's pay attention. I'm not just talking about our sector of fabless hardware SMEs, but in general in Europe, we know we have good innovators, okay? Just pay attention that we are getting to the stage where it's become convenient from our competitors to make us doing the test at low cost, and when we start to scale, we can be both. So we should be strategically pay attention to that, okay? So we contribute to sovereignty, but then let's also foster it.
Okay, let's hear Paul.
Okay, so I think we all have, most SMEs have something really unique and interesting to offer the market, but I think none of that matters until you have belief. And I think the three things you need to start with is belief that your vision can actually reach and be relevant. The second one is execution, to make it happen. Not just in your own stream, but the broader ecosystem you want to bring together. Right? And that makes a difference. And the final thing, keep an eye on the clock, because in this market, it's tomorrow already. Okay? Those have all got belief, execution, and time.
Thank you. That was actually a really, really great point, and it stayed within the time frame. So, when we now look at our next topic, I mean, we all know partnerships are really important, and especially when done right, partnerships compress time, and the goal is here as well to give the room a pattern that they could maybe reuse. So my question to you, Mir, what forms of collaborations do you consider most effective in accelerating innovation and sustainable growth? And I will start with you, Eric, on this question, if you're ready. So, yeah, give me your thoughts.
So the places where we've seen the best collaborations is in the areas where we are perhaps the weakest and not the main experts, right? So Tenstorrent is a company that is really truly experts in developing high-performance microprocessors, but we're not physics scientists, we're not military engineers. And so when it comes to engaging with our research partners like E4 and who are able to bring that level of expertise that can and inform us about the ways that we need to improve our products, that is a win-win. They're getting technology that you can't find elsewhere in the market, and at the same time, we're getting that information about what we need to do better and how we can serve the broader market better.
Thank you. And Antonino, if we look at technology partnerships now, from your experience, what makes a partnership like this successful and successful alliance?
So it's the synergies that between the parties. I will use exactly the same example as E4. So E4 is a company that's bringing us together here. So thank you again to E4 for giving us this slot, this opportunity to talk to people. So this is a perfect example of how we design technology that companies can help us to go to the market. Mm-hmm. There's another good example in Europe that some of the companies here participate, which is the DARE, or DARE, or call it DARE in Italian, DARE in English, project where there's like 40, I think it's 38 to 40 companies, European companies, to build a complete HPC and AI system based on RISC-V in Europe with all technology based design in Europe. So that, to me, are two good examples of technology collaboration.
Thank you. Garcea, okay, Paul, you go first.
Yeah, I was going to say where we found the best traction is actually starting by finding champions in one or two specific organizations that actually want to take some of the unique IPR that actually complements what they're doing. The next step is actually they will take you to Pathfinder projects in some of the larger organizations, and before you know it, you're actually in a consortium where you're adding value and you'll be seen as adding value across the whole group. Okay, but it starts from the individual champions and then take it through.
Great, thank you. 30 seconds.
Yes, you need to do some partnership. You will not succeed alone. At least in our market, you need to collaborate. You need to build from a commercial point of view partnership with OEM. If you go to HPC, you need to have the integrator that help you out. It's a must-have. That's one part. The other part is to mature your product. How you mature your product? For us, it's extremely important to have access to community. So community can help by enabling to improve, for example, your software stack. I'm talking about, for this kind of product, Arduino. I'm talking about Raspberry Pi, something that people can have on their desk and try. This is extremely important.
And for us, very quickly, since we were born from a European project, EPI, I think European projects are a very good way to put together consortia. You make partnerships that last much beyond the program. And in our case, with E4, as an example, and by the way, I would like to thank and congratulate E4 for this fantastic event, because it's exactly the kind of events where we meet all the stakeholders or the community of the partners, and where we can also decide strategies together.
Thank you. I mean, we've now been talking about partnerships, and then we can also look at Europe as a whole and look at the next 5 years, and maybe you could tell me something that comes to your mind, a single action item that Europe should prioritize to help SMEs expand, and also what outcome would be expected from that action. And now I would start with Matteo, please.
One? So if I really have to pick one, I would say we need to unlock the corporate investment and capital investment in deep tech in Europe with any possible way. I don't care, I mean I care, but it's not important as European if it's just hardware. If we do not invest in tech now, with all the capital we have and the limited resources we have, we are not going anywhere, okay? So we have to avoid the situation where the next good investment is just a luxury resort to look at the ruins of a once great civilization that used to be Europe. No. We have to defend our industry, we have to defend our research or our technology innovation, so we have to unlock capital now.
I think you're absolutely right there, because a lot of the value, particularly in this market, is in the corporate markets. The corporate people have the cash, the investments, $1 trillion valuations, that sort of thing. The governments want to make that investment, but of course they don't have access to the capital themselves. And so actually the private-public relationship should work and actually be able to maybe across Europe allow for taxation incentives, that sort of thing, whatever, to allow the corporate investments to be unlocked.
But I've heard that we are the best in regulating, so I think we can get good ideas in order to stimulate that.
Thank you, Antonino. What would you add?
The second topic of money investment is of course important. I would say then the second is talent, to continue attracting talent. And then we have a phrase at Openchip, which is talent attracts talent. So we started by hiring the top management, and those are people who have over 2,000 patents in total. So those are people that are coming from Intel, coming from Micron, coming from Google. And then this attracted more people from the different companies, and then these people attracted more people. So I think we are building, we are around 300 people, all of us in EMEA. Most of our design team is in Italy, in Rome and Milan. So if Openchip wasn't there, probably these people would need to look for another job in another company in the US or outside of Europe. So giving them the opportunity to step in Europe and to do their work in Europe is very important. So keep on investing and keep on attracting talent for the next year. Don't stop doing that.
I agree, and I think those two also go hand in hand. I mean, money attracts talent as well, and if you want to keep the talent, you have to pay them appropriately. So yeah, I
Yeah, but
agree
it's
with
not
you.
only money, as I said. It's
Yeah,
also
no, it's
having
not
the
only money, but like-
right project. Well, money helps, of course. We are.
Of course, yeah. Yes, I agree. Is there anything else that we missed
I
that
don't
comes to your
think
mind?
it's only a problem of salary. I think it's a problem of continuity, it's problem of challenges that you put in front of the talent, it's problem of perspective. And it's a problem of changing culture. People are not used, if they stay in the big corporate, only recently they're used to go into startup in Europe. In US, it's just normal. So it's changing mentality. It's not only money. Money helps, but helps the first 2 months.
Yeah, that's true.
No, I completely agree, because going to a startup, we all are proofs. It's
And
not
by the way,
easy. It's
at
not easy.
beginning to scale up, we start with 12 people. In 3 years, we are more than 260 people. We went wherever talents were, no matter country, no matter where they were. And this is the only way to grow.
I agree with you. I think maybe investment, like money is the first good step, but then talent will attract talent, as you said, so going full circle. And I think now looking at the time, I would redirect to the audience. If you've got any questions, now is the best time to ask. And yeah. None?
So we can go for another recommendation, maybe, like
Yeah,
by
yeah.
European.
You go on.
By European, it's also. Yeah.
So one thing I was going to link back to was on the digital sovereignty. We often think about it, and this morning it was a defensive sovereignty. You know, we need to do this. Actually, we need to project and go outbound with this. And that only happens, back to the investment side of it, if the investment that's encouraged is right the way across the supply chain and the value chain. We need people to invest in the foundries, in the equipment, in the test, and the rest of it, in the universities, the people and talent. Talent attracts talent, money attracts talent, but actually an island in one place is surrounded by the competition. So it needs to be right the way across the value chain.
Thank you. Here.
Great presentation. One sentence. One sentence. My voice is bad. Thanks for the great presentation. Only one question and a reply in 30 seconds. What is your take of Luciano Floridi's presentation of this morning?
Shall I go? So my own personal view around ethics and frameworks is that, of course, but the challenge that I think we've got is that from the ethics frameworks that people try to apply generically to technologies, actually in AI, explainability and accountability are the only absolute values there. I think the challenge that we've got within the AI space is that the others are subjective. So if you take fairness as one of the challenges, we try to impose fairness. Fairness is actually controlled by whoever controls the AI. Whereas explainability and accountability, they are universal. So I think they're the most important parts of that we should encourage.
Yeah, I got one sentence because I have heard many times that regulation in Europe is a disadvantage in Europe. And he positioned it the other way, so regulation is not only needed, but it can be an advantage for Europe. So I like the way he presented that, because many times I have heard just the opposite. I like this point of view.
To me, thinking about ethics, I think that many things is something it's now past of fashion, but we are talking about gigawatts of data centers, and I think that we still have to think about how precious energy is. We can ask ChatGPT or whatever other AI how much biomass had to die to fuel a gigawatt AI factory. So we have to think about the energy that we have, the energy stock we have in our planet to do beautiful things, and really work in optimizing the energy and making energy efficient solution for computing.
For me, one sentence is AI is here, is within us, will never abandon us, has been improved a lot our efficiency, but it's something for which you need to be critical. So decision making at the end should be reviewed somehow from human being.
Do I have one sentence?
Yes, no.
So to me, ethics in any technology it's like the foundations of a house, right? Without the foundations, the building can look super pretty, but is going to collapse with catastrophic results, right? So we absolutely need to have ethics integrated into AI systems from the very bottom up.
Great, thank you. Looking at the time, we have to wrap it up now. I think this was a great last question also to capture how great the event was that we attended today. Thank you again for for making this possible. And yeah, also thank you for my panelists. It was a great panel. And yes, I hope also the audience was able to get some good takeaways. And yeah, thank you.
And thank you to you. You have been a great moderator. Thank you.
Thank you.